All right, so good day, everyone joining from different parts of the world. As I can see, welcome to our LinkedIn audio event about content that converts. I'm very thrilled to be here with all of you today at this live event, and I'm looking forward to hopefully an engaging and informative discussion together with other amazing speakers who have joined me today, Raminta, Linas, and Filippo. Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so it's good to have all of you here at this audio event, and those who are listening to us, could you react with an emoji so we can see that you are listening to this live right now? I see we have over 300 people. All right, I see people are reacting, so it's lovely to have you here. All right, so we all know that content is king in the digital world, and the ability to craft compelling and effective content is very, very important for all of us here. And we're all looking to have a strong LinkedIn profile and get noticed by potential employers or clients for that matter. And whether you're a marketer or a business owner, a freelancer, or simply someone who wants to enhance your writing skills, this event is definitely a perfect opportunity for you to learn from some of the best people in this content creation business, so to say, and also hear from people who have a lot of experience from other guest speakers who have been working with content creation on LinkedIn for a long while now. And talking about speakers, we have an incredible lineup of speakers today, all of whom are experts in their respective fields. So we have Raminta, who is my colleague at Linkedis and works as a brand manager at Linkedis, creating content not only for herself, but also managing other pages on LinkedIn. We also have Linas, who is a country manager and a general manager in Flutterwave, and Filippo, who is a revenue operations manager at Shield. How are you guys feeling today?
All is great. Excited to be here. I hope that everything sound and all of those things are okay. And yeah, excited for the discussion.
All right, Linas, how about yourself?
Yes, I'm here. Glad seeing 300 plus people already here with us. So yeah, keen to have a good conversation, have some questions, and share whatever hopefully will be useful for everybody out here. So yeah, glad being here.
All right, and Filippo, you're joining us from Copenhagen, right?
Yes, so hi, everyone. Nice to have you all here. Apologies right now for the potential background noise that I have. So, definitely pumped for this. Came back from vacation from Bucharest yesterday. So, feel fresh and rested, and nice to share the conversation with other people like you, Kotryna, Raminta, and Linas.
All right, so I think we should just jump into it then. And before we start talking about content creation, here are a few housekeeping rules to follow. So, for all the speakers, keep yourself muted while the other speaker is speaking. For all the attendees, if you have a question, raise your hand because we will be taking those questions at the very end of the discussion after 30 minutes or so when we'll have some time for Q&A. And if you have your hand raised, then we will take your question. We'll bring you on the stage. Yes, as I just mentioned, there will be a Q&A at the very end. And if we will bring you on the stage, have your questions prepared. All right, so this audio event will be divided into three different parts. So the first part is where we talk and give you a little bit of introduction into where we started when it comes to LinkedIn content creation, what worked for us, how did we grow our profiles, and maybe what did we notice when working with other people's profiles and so forth. Then we'll get into the second part of the audio event, which will focus more on the strategies and practical tips. So what content works today? How do you measure success of your LinkedIn content? What metrics do you need to follow? How do you find inspiration and so forth? So if you want to know about those things, we will discuss them at the second part of the live. And then, as I mentioned, at the very end, we'll have a Q&A. All right, so let's start with the question that I have prepared for the speakers. And the first question is, how long have you been active on LinkedIn, and how did you initially start creating content on this platform? So maybe, Linas, if we could start with you.
Sure. So I think this is the second time I'm being asked this question the last few weeks, and I don't have a let's say very accurate answer. The reason that because it's been a while, but just to put some context, so I think it should have begun somewhere in 2015 or somewhere around that year, and the reason for that was because I simply began my professional career, not maybe directly in fintech, but somewhere close by. And the idea was very simple. My former boss at the time just said that I just need to have a profile because he uses or he thinks that it's worthwhile to use LinkedIn for sales. So that's basically how I started. I created the profile and just started selling messages as quite a lot of folks still do these days, saying, "Hi, Linus, buy my software, buy my payment solution, buy whatever I'm selling." That was basically the beginning. I did that I think during my first job in my position, and I started doing that when I began transitioning to where I am today, which is fintech. And but I felt that's not the way it's supposed to be. Although many were doing that, and already back then there were like lots of courses of how you should sell LinkedIn, how you should leverage Sales Navigator, etc., etc. But then I thought, okay, so that's not the, let's say, the right approach, although maybe, let's say, more measurable. I need to think a bit bigger. So then I started to focus more on the content side. But that content side was, again, very salesy and very pitchy, if that's the right word in English. So basically, I wrote articles or made posts about whatever company X. We do XYZ, buy our stuff. We launched in that market, buy our stuff, or do something around in that matter. Somebody, can you hear me? All right, somebody messaged me that I should raise my voice.
No, I can hear you well, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so for everybody who said that I need to raise your voice, Kotryna confirmed that this is fine. So maybe there's a problem with your speakers. Anyway, thank you for the message. So where was I? Right. So I was just doing some salesy stuff, just basically promoting everything and everywhere that I could. But then again, I thought, okay, I can do more and I should do more. And then again, not sure, was it like 2015 or 16, I, let's say, pivoted and changed my strategy and started to look a bit on a bigger picture view where something that I shared should bring value, insights, or spring the conversation, which is the ultimate metric that I try to track. And I think then was something that caught the snowflake effect, so to say, and it started to grow. So basically, yeah. Have I answered your question?
Oh, definitely. So it started with a little bit of a different goal for you being on a platform, but then it emerged into you actually understanding that you want to be active here and create content that helps people and brings value to them, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And if I think about myself, I've also started creating content somewhere back in 2017, 16. And for me, it was just simply, trying to find my tribe, trying to find like-minded people, share content that was interesting for me, and at the same time, get discussions going on and try to brand myself, which I didn't know back then was something called personal branding. Now, Filippo, could you share with us, if you can remember, what was your very first post on LinkedIn on the platform, or the post types that you started with?
Yes, that's a good question, Kotryna. So basically, I started like during the pandemic, and the reason why I started was because I was just hired by Shield, which is a LinkedIn analytics platform, and for me, it was kind of a no-brainer to say, okay, I now work for this company, which is into the LinkedIn ecosystem. So I need to kind of start posting, or at least kind of know what I'm talking about. And I feel like I still don't know what I'm talking about most of the times. I still feel like most of the people know more than me about LinkedIn. But the first post was about Milan city, specifically like the sustainable practices they started doing it to make the system more sustainable during the pandemic. So that was the first post, and it was actually an article that I reshared from the Guardian. So my first post was like a reshared article, and then after that, 3 years after, I mean, I always like create my own content. I don't only talk about LinkedIn, but it's mostly about also productivity, healthcare, and how to have a proper work-life balance. At least that's what I do. So that's kind of was my first post. So try to get something out of there, to test out and learn from it.
Okay, so you had a little bit of a direction or a push from the company, of course, where you started working, that brought your attention to the platform. That's good to hear. And again, it's not about when you start, actually, if it was like 6 years ago, 10 years ago, or a year ago, or now. It's all about your journey, right? So there's no right or wrong time to start for all of the ones that are listening and thinking about creating content. Maybe this is your sign, right? And hopefully, at the second part, we'll share some practical tips as well. Raminta, could you share with us one memorable thing about, creating content on the platform? Maybe something has happened to you that you did not expect, or maybe one type of post worked wonders for you. Raminta, can you hear me? Somehow I cannot hear Raminta. Linus, can you hear her?
Nope, nothing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I put on my headphones, so I had them in case this happens. Okay, so I hope it's okay now.
Yes, all good.
So yeah, I had a crazy experience last year actually, where one of my posts went into a completely direction that I did not expect, and it was a very random post that I just saw and thought to reshare. It was a screenshot from a tweet basically, and I just reshared with one sentence, one comment of mine. And it was of course a relevant topic. It was a tweet from our president, Gitanas Nausėda, and it somehow resonated with the audience, and people maybe who do not use Twitter found the post on LinkedIn from my post, and yeah, it got thousands of views, which I was not expecting at all, and many comments, and it was very strange for me because it was completely unplanned. So that was one of craziest experiences, because I was not just expecting that post to kind of blow up, but something I think resonated with the audience, and it was just like very right timing. So that really showed that you never know when it's actually going to be a very great post that will blow up, and when it's gonna be completely out of the blue. So that was my experience.
Now, this is a very memorable post. I remember it myself. And that's exactly the case, right? Sometimes timing is just right. And if you post about something first, so if something happens, like, for example, these days we have a lot of buzz about things around AI and ChatGPT, right? And if, let's say, you would be the first person to post about that in your community, you might get all the spotlight, right? Because people will get to know about those news from you. So I think this was a very great strategy and a very good timing. All right. So since we're talking about content and strategies, a very smooth transition into our second part, which I believe is the most exciting and important for all the attendees here today and listeners, is where we talk about actually what we do, what works, what doesn't work, and what kind of tips we have for you to create content that converts. So, I would like to first start talking a little bit about content strategies that you apply in your content creation. Now, what I mean by that is that, you see a lot of content creators on the platform, and some of them create more content, some of them reuse content, others are always bringing only new pieces of content. So, there are different ways how you can go about it, right? I personally have a strategy that I am trying to always reuse some content that I have made before that maybe wasn't noticed by all of my audience just in one post. I'm trying to reuse it and repurpose it for the future posts. Also, I am always leaving some space for spontaneous posts. And from now on, I'm usually planning my next week's content so that every week I more or less know what I will be posting about. So, this is how I go about my content, my personal profile content these days. And I would love to hear about other speakers, other people we have here on this live. How do you go about your personal content? So Filippo, maybe we could start with you.
Yes, thanks for the question. So I did change a lot my processes around content. What I do now, which is kind of works for me, I spend more time commenting on others people posts, and I comment on a post about LinkedIn, sales, revenue operations, fitness, and personal health. And then I try to comment the best way possible, so I can then turn those comments into posts for next week. So that's kind of my approach.
Okay. Okay.
I spend more time commenting on the topics I feel like I can add something than actually, uh, creating content from scratch. So I try to spend more time commenting. So this way I start more conversations with other people. I also get a little bit boost from the algorithm as well when I post. And this way also kind of minimizes my writer's block. So I really spend more and more time commenting, and then actually thinking on my content strategy.
Okay.
That's my process right now. So I do comment, like, let's say on 7-8 posts per day, and out of those 8 posts there is always like at least 1 or 2 that I can use as a draft for my next post, while also getting conversations going daily with new people. That's my process
Okay.
right now.
So just to clarify, when you say that you're commenting, and then would you then take that copy from your comment, all that text, and use it for your future post, or how would you go about it, or would you just take it as an inspiration?
I do use this as an inspiration. So the comment, I then once I share the comment,
Mhm.
I actually, so basically every time I comment, I have a Notion page that is called Draft Open. So every time I leave a comment, I copy the comment and I paste it into this Notion page. And then I use that kind of draft as an inspiration for my next post. So I never really, let's say, copy the comment, paste it, and use it as a post, but I always use it as an inspiration, as a kind of, you know, 70% draft for my next post, sometimes 50,
Gotcha.
but it's like half of the work is already done. And I,
Mhm.
while I also comment on another person's post, so I really like create some presence on the platform. That's my approach now. But it changed a lot over the years. Before I used to content batch my content like an hour per week, but now I have more stuff to do, so I need to kind of find some time to do everything, from commenting, connecting, and posting. So this is kind of working for me. So I can allocate, those 15, 20 minutes per day to do everything, let's say.
Okay, so that's definitely an interesting way to create content, rather going around about the comments rather than your own content piece first. Thank you for sharing this strategy. I've actually did not think about this before. So this sounds very interesting. Raminta, what about you?
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I can see that. You cannot? You can actually. So, for this question, I thought about it a lot because I think the little things come to me as a strategy in this case, and I just have like a continuous list that I keep in my notes, and whenever a random idea pops into my head, because that kind of happens a lot as I'm working in the field and always looking for some inspiration. So I always keep a note app open in this case, and then in my Google calendars always have a reminder that I want to post something for that day. And so that kind of keeps me accountable, and because consistency is very important when it comes to these posts, and at the same time, so I know when to prepare my next post without rushing for it to go on time when I have planned it already. So yeah, and other than that, I just in general experiment with a lot of posts still, like different topics and different types, to make the profile grow even further. So I think that like sharing these types of little bits, I also didn't think of Filippo's option too. I think it's very nice and inspiring. So yeah, very nice to know that now.
Do you sometimes also use scheduling or not yet?
I've used to use scheduling for my other social media posts. I recently only got it for LinkedIn now. But I haven't really. I think I only used it once in advance, because usually I want to make sure that like it doesn't go with some kind of mistake. I always like to proofread everything. So that's why I kind of like to post them live rather than schedule. But it is actually like a pretty good time saver whenever I need it. But I only used it once before when I needed to.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing. This is also, something that I think I follow as well in a way, because I'm also keeping it somewhat planned, somewhat spontaneous. So I can very relate to that. Linas, how do you go about your content and posting it out? Because I know that you for sure have a lot of content going out.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good question, and actually, I've been saying this since I don't know when. The problem is not to post. The problem is what not to post. So selecting between all the ideas and whatever you have on your mind, and picking the right thing to share, which is always tricky, right? But to answer the question, yeah, I agree with you guys. Filippo seems to be an outlier here. I haven't been doing that for a long time, simply because I just don't have time. There's too much things happening, both on the platform, off the platform, and professionally and personally. So if I would be commenting on people posts, I would just lose my mind. So I'm not doing that. What I'm trying, obviously, is to basically, apart from experimenting what works and what doesn't, just to basically mix things up and keep the conversation going in a different shapes, formats, or other means. So mixing between text from time to time, mixing with documents, videos, and stuff like that. Sometimes doing some shit posting or some jokes, which are not always getting the right message across. But yeah, I'm just trying to be, let's say, as human as possible versus just sticking to one niche and one niche only, and on one format and one format only.
Okay, and I have a little question to kind of piggyback on what you just said. Talking about the amount of content, and you saying that sometimes there's even so much content that you don't know when to post what, and I'm also getting to that limit these days. I wonder if you ever post a few times a day, and how is that working out for you if you're doing that?
Yeah, I usually do that. But typically, I'm not sure I have done more than 3 posts a day in a while. So it's basically either 1 or 2 posts per day. One of the reasons for that is obviously that I have a few newsletters. I have four newsletters, 2 weekly ones, so they go off, 2 days per week at least, which basically means that given the fact of how this is shared on the platform, they're only pushed to the subscribers, and they basically don't add any other value. So that's why you need to share something, or I would like to share something on top of that. In terms of how it works, it it depends actually. I haven't found a correlation whether posting more than once or whatever limits your reach. So far, as long as you are not spammy, and I know a few people, or like quite a few people, who are like posting whatever 5-10 times per day. They seem to be probably run by other folks. And if you look at the engagement, it's barely rubbish, but they still tend to get like one post that goes viral. So that seems to work fine for them. So I'm happy. But to get back to your question, so no more than 3 posts per day, usually two, and yeah, they seem to be fine. But 1 post per day could be equally as good as two. There's no like direct correlation or causation here.
All right, thanks for sharing this. I personally noticed that sometimes if I post twice a day, the second post would cannibalize the engagement of the first one. But I've only done that a few times, so I wouldn't say that my research is very valid. I also see that we have 4 people that are raising hands and want to ask questions. So please stay a little bit patient. Hang in there, because we'll in 15 or so minutes get to the Q&A part, and you'll be able to hop on the stage and ask your questions. Now, Raminta, I would like to ask you, when it comes to measuring the success of LinkedIn content, and I guess this is again a question for everybody here. How do you measure success, and what metrics do you mostly look at when it comes to LinkedIn content creation?
So at least for my personal posts, I always watch out for the impressions, and because it's like the first thing that I am able to see if even though people are not engaging with the content, they're not commenting as often, but they still see the posts. So that is the first thing that you can see how well your content performed. So that is the first number, at least for me. I always watch out for it. And then also the comments. The comments are usually have a pretty big correlation between the number of impressions and the comments, because it kind of boosts your post and then it gets more views. But it's always nice to receive all those comments, but I think that like it's not the number one number. I always look for the impressions, and also when it comes to like clients profiles, business profiles, also like the number of impressions per either profile or per post is also like you can definitely see which posts are more eye catching and thumb stopping, and which ones are just not really interesting for the audience and they didn't see them at all. So I think, like, at least for me, it's impressions all the way.
All right, Filippo, would you agree? Is it impressions for you too, or something else that you're looking at?
That's a good one. I mean, I will say that when I started, I was looking a lot at impressions. Now I really don't care that much in general about impressions, even though, I work for a LinkedIn analytics company. I mostly look at the type of, so the number of DMs I get after a post, even invitations to speaker event. That's also a really good one. It's more important for me that than impressions per se. And also inbounds received over DM. That's kind of the most critical performance indicator I look at, because at the end of the day, people are on LinkedIn, of course, to start new conversations with other people. But I mean, I first started using LinkedIn, as a salesperson, account executive. So I still look at kind of how much business opportunities are coming out of it. So I would say DMs, inbounds, speaking invitations, and of course, just qualitative insights from comments. So if people say in the comments, "Hey, this is really helpful. I'm going to implement that." That's really valuable, right? So impressions are kind of one of the last things I actually look at. It's more about the qualitative insights from the comments and from DMs. That's what I would say.
All right. And when you're saying DMs, or for example, leads that you're getting, right? How do you know for a fact that those leads are coming, or those DMs are coming and into your inbox, and they're connected with the content pieces that you are um, making and the content that you're sharing? Or do you simply ask those people later on?
I try not to over engineer either, because at the end of the day, when you are actually kind of investing in branding activities, it's not really always about tracking. That's the way I see it. I mean, most of the times, even in calls, that's kind of what people mention to me. Or sometimes, it's like people like few times and then they shoot a DM. So I, I try not to ask, to make it as more generic as I can. Sometimes they just mention that nice post, and then 2 weeks after they come inbound. So I really don't use it LinkedIn anymore to pitch as before. But the more kind of I focus on creating or commenting on the right people content, the easier it is to actually get business out of it, which is kind of interesting, right? At least that's kind of working for me. But I also know that uh, you know Shield is like a product for both B2C and B2B. So of course our total addressable market is really wide, compared to what other freelancers or agencies do, right? So it's easier for us to generate brand awareness in front of potential buyers than other people. So I think that's also why, I mean, that's also
Yeah,
something to take into account.
yeah, of course, it's way easier when you also work with the platform and you're on the platform. Uh, but again, yeah, there's something called the dark funnel, right? We don't see the funnel. Maybe we don't see where the lead is coming from. We don't see if it's coming from a specific post, but the dark funnel is mostly connected with the content creation and creating brand awareness and kind of getting leads through those type of activities. Raminta mentioned one of her most successful posts, and I also had a question to the speakers about, what was your most successful post that you did, or a few most successful viral posts that you have had, and if there is some kind of a strategy behind those posts, maybe something you could share with the audience to help them get also some posts going viral or just generate traction. So, Linas, I know you have had a lot of posts that had hundreds of thousands of views. Maybe you could share with us a few of them, what those were, and if there is some formula behind it.
Sure. Yeah. So I can share three very brief stories or examples, and you can then decide on the formula. So I think one of the first posts that was viral, or at least this is the one that I remember very well, was the one that got maybe 5 million views, something like that. And the post was about, I think, leadership or management, and it was actually a video by Simon Sinek famous, writer, coach, speaker, the author of some very, very good books. And that post, one thing, was pretty like simultaneous. It was interesting and value adding, but the reason I presume why it got viral, it got some decent performance in the beginning, but probably the core reason was that Simon Sinek himself made a comment under the post, and then it got really, really viral. So that's one example.
All
Another
right. So
example.
that's sorry to interrupt you. So that's
Sure.
just one way, is to get the attention of the author of the post or of the author of the idea itself, and then in that way it will boost it a lot, right?
Yeah. But I don't even remember whether I tagged him, but that I didn't have any intention to get his awareness, because I didn't need that. It was solely because that was interesting and valuable, and it, as I said, it resonated pretty well even without his comment. But that like doubled or tripled the performance, which is always good. So that's one example. The other example, which was relatively recent, which was I think the second one most performing, was about AI, obviously, which is pretty trending. But that was like a bit of a big picture view, providing some perspective of what's happening on the market. I spent some time, obviously, gathering some data, not actually data, but researching and reading around it, and it got, I don't know, maybe 6 million views or so. But it was on the topic that is currently very hot. It provided a perspective and hopefully some value for the people, and they it really resonated with them. So that's one example. And the most recent one, and probably the most successful thus far, was very spontaneous. I spent like 5 minutes or less, but it was about something historic and something that I'm personally, let's see, passionate about, and tend to follow quite actively. It was about LeBron James and Nike's founder, where he was, of course, right now many people could challenge that, wasn't the only one, but let's say he was famously spotted watching LeBron becoming the highest scoring basketball player of all time, and that was pictured. So I spent whatever 5 minutes on the post. I shared it, and I think right now it's like 7.5 million views and counting. So three different posts, different topics, different time investment, but yeah, not so bad results, I would say.
These are some amazing statistics, I might say, and of course, sometimes that the most viral posts, as I also talked with other content creators, they're coming from content pieces that you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of time on creating. So that's something I can definitely agree on. I think my most viral posts, at least two of them, were actually both of them were connected to Elon Musk. Funny enough, one about Elon Musk SpaceX, and another one about Twitter's blue check mark, which was also very much trending topic a few months ago. So being there at the moment and sharing something that is gaining traction is definitely going to help you gain or generate a viral post. Filippo, do you have some kind of an interesting example talking about viral posts as well?
I don't really had that many actually. Over 3 years, I had really few of them. I had some went like above 100k views, but honestly, like I didn't really get that much out of that. It was mostly like, hey, getting a lot of views out of that. But I feel like I get way more when I actually, just stay consistent, and when I get like 3 posts out per week. And it was mostly about, you had some posts about LinkedIn, which performed really well. I had some posts about, working from home, or kind of what I do when I work from home to balance work and outside of work activities. So those perform really well. And in general, I think my most viral posts were about how to use, how to apply for a job without the CV. So not really related to what I do on a normal basis, but it was mostly about kind of, how. So if you want to kind of put them in the same basket, I would say they're mostly about kind of how working has evolved, in terms
All
of
right.
so working from home, using digital platforms more compared to before, and also using LinkedIn, to build an online presence. So I think these are kind of the topics in common. And now that I think about it, it kind of makes sense because they're all kind of topics that everyone can kind of add something or can add their thoughts to them. So they're kind of easy to engage because it's something that everyone has to deal with it, right?
Definitely.
So these are kind of the topics, but I didn't really go viral that much, also because I don't really look for it. I mostly try to have, a process to be able to put posts out there consistently while also commenting and connecting consistently. So that's kind of my goal on the platform. Is not really to go viral because that's not really my goal at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be, I think, for anyone. I mean, the goal is to strengthen your brand, to expand the brand awareness of the business that you're building, or get new opportunities, right? And then just having viral posts is a nice plus to have, and it's a nice thing that happens once in a while, if it happens and if it's meant to be, right, at some point. All right, since our time is quickly running out, we still have around 20 minutes of this call, of this audio live. And before we jump into the Q&A, and I see we have questions already, people are raising their hands. I would like to ask one last question of all of you. And before we even do that, I would like people, if you could react with an emoji, just to let us know that you're still here, that you're still listening, just to see that you're still here. All right, I see a lot of people reacting. Great, good to have you again, and thank you so much for joining this live. It means a lot to all of us that you're listening in. Before we go into the Q&A session, I would like to ask you, what would be one or two tips that you would give to somebody who's just starting out with content creation on this platform, or maybe wants to grow their audience? Raminta, maybe we could start with you. And we still cannot hear you.
Can you hear
All
me?
right. Yes, I can hear you.
I promise I am not changing anything from the last time that I spoke. Something is just going on with the with the event. Okay. Anyways, so for the tip for someone who is just starting out, so I think the hardest part is just to start, and to start somewhere. And actually, for this kind of question, I have a very good recommendation. Because we saw at Linkedis, we saw the kind of struggle people usually face with writing for LinkedIn. And together with my colleagues, with Raimonda and Daria, we created an ebook especially dedicated for those people that are struggling to find inspiration, that don't know where to start. So yeah, we have an amazing ebook that is completely free, and you can find it and download it on our website. I'm going to leave a link to it in the comments of this audio event too, if you want to check it out. So feel free. So we put our experience and our tips there. So besides those, I can only add, find people that inspire you, find profiles that inspire you, because there are definitely some profiles that you will find interesting, and try to see the content that they are posting, and just with their inspiration, start somewhere. You're not gonna become any more motivated to start writing posts either a year from now or 2 years from now. You're not gonna get this motivation out of nowhere else. So just why not now? We are all capable of that, and we all have something to talk about. So that would be my tip.
That's a beautiful advice, and indeed, the time is now, right? This audio event might be your sign. And as Raminta mentioned, we do have that ebook about writing on LinkedIn, so you can always access it on our website, linkedis.com. All right, Linus, what advice would you give to people who are just beginning their journey on the platform?
Before I give advice, I would say that's, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do social selling. So well done.
Here we go.
Well done. Right. So getting to your question, I would first maybe challenge everyone here. So I think you should first answer yourselves whether you really would like to do that, because there's no need for sharing. Just for the sake of sharing, because at the end of the day, if everyone would be content creators or whatever, entrepreneurs, who would be the consumers, who would buy the stuff, and who would be the buyers, right? So that's first thing, because if you don't want or feel comfortable with, or even if it doesn't really fit you, don't do that. I mean, there are other ways of how you can participate. The easiest one is, I think, suggested by Filippo. You just could engage with other people, either in the comments or in DMs or in any other way, shape, or form. But if you feel that's right thing to do, if you would like to start, obviously the most basic advice is just to start and stay consistent. And in order to do that, you have to find something that should be of your interest, passion, and that you could basically stick to it for, I don't know, at least 90 days or even more. If it's not interesting, if it's not something that you care about, you just would give up after 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And the worst thing about that is you might have that break point or pivotal moment at the third week or fourth week. So giving up is really not an option, because this is the long-term game. And maybe the critical thing to answer yourself first, if you decide to go and you have the passion, is what are your goals? Whether you would like to build a personal brand, make new connections, friends, maybe grow your business, or anything else. If you have those all aligned and you have a clear strategy, just start and stick to it.
That's an amazing advice. Always think about your personal goals. Thank you, Linus, for sharing these tips or advice. It's something that people definitely should do even before, as you said, creating content. Filippo, what would you like to add?
Yeah, I'm really in line here with what Lina said. I mean, I do help my colleagues to post on the platform, and I mean, we all come from different backgrounds or different interests. So, I mean, I'm using so many incentives for them. I take them to eat some ramen. I take them to eat some cake. But and kind of what I figured out from them is that it is okay. To approach LinkedIn at your own pace, at your own time. So you can definitely, feel like posting. If you don't feel like, don't do it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's you need to feel good with yourself. But if you really want to kind of have a presence there, I think it's really about try to deconstruct your LinkedIn activities in an achievable way. So I mean, even the days that I don't really have that much time, I at least spend 2 or 3 minutes on it. So maybe I leave a comment, I leave 2 comments per day. So try to build a easy to sustain routine. Could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes, but at least keep it going. And I mean, talk about kind of what are your interests, right? I think that's the most important stuff, because if you talk about something that is not interesting for you, then you're not gonna stick to it. So for me, like I I really like to talk about other stuff outside of work. So now I'm talking more about fitness because I'm really into fitness, or I talk a lot about how to be more healthy because I'm discovering that side of my personality as well. Or I'm planning to talk more about music because I kind of mix vinyls in my free time, and that also makes it easier for me to stick to the plan. Instead of only talking about LinkedIn, which is something that I do for work, but it's not really my life. So I think talking about your interest is kind of the most important stuff, at least for myself, or at least that's kind of what I'm seeing it also for my colleagues.
Okay, that's also another good thing to think about. Thank you so much, Filippo, for sharing this. I think if I would add one more thing to all of these good advice, would be that you always need to think about also your tone of voice. So once you decide to communicate on the platform, try to think about the way you want to craft your brand, right? The way you want to um, appeal to people, or the way you want your message to be understood, because that's also very much important. And you can avoid the situations where people meet you and they cannot actually connect the two dots of how you are on the platform and how you are in real life, right? So try to be as authentic and as yourself as possible, because that will also help more people to connect with you, and also connect with you when they meet you in real life. All right, so thank you so much, Raminta, Filippo, Linas, for sharing your tips and tricks, advice. I think if we could talk an hour more about this, that would be great, because I have like five or so more questions that we didn't even touch upon. But we only have this 1 hour for today, and we also have some people who want to ask their questions. So those who are lifting their hands, please make sure that you have your question ready when we bring you on the stage. And let's start with Deepak. Welcome. Do you have a question for us?
You have to unmute yourself, I think.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Hey, thanks, Kotryna, and all the others. I have been following Linas for a long time now, and I have started to follow the Filippo and Raminta as well. Thanks, Kotryna, for giving me this opportunity. So my question here is, so I'm sure. I mean, I would like to share that my experience has been that I have been a primary customer of LinkedIn primarily for hunting jobs. But I think after following Lina's, I think I have found in the hindsight that it's one of the best things that have happened to me on LinkedIn, because the content that you guys are creating is really mind blowing, and it's food for thought as well. It I found it curious of most of the times, right? So and my question is, I would like to follow your footsteps and become an influencer myself and build a brand out here in LinkedIn. And I know that Filippo has been doing this for work as well, that using LinkedIn for work. So I was just wondering if it's too shameful of me to actually ask you for the software or tool stack that you use to basically schedule your LinkedIn post, if at all that is relevant, and if you find that useful in order to grow and retain your users. That is something that I have been trying to understand lately, and have also found situations where there were users were dropping off. I mean, follower count was reducing because I changed the tone of my voice, as Kotryna rightly pointed out, right, in one of my posts. So I'm attributing the loss to those posts as well. So I've learned a lot over the course from you guys. So my question still remains, I'm repeating. So what are the softwares, tools, and stacks that, if at all, that you use in order to promote your posts, or keep it coming, content coming at a regular intervals for the consumption, for the algorithm to maybe pick it up as well? So that's my question. Thanks in advance. Sorry for taking up a lot of your time. Thanks.
Thank you so much for the question. Before Linas goes ahead, I will just mention that everybody can schedule LinkedIn posts on the platform itself. So this option should be available for most people right now. And you can schedule your posts directly from LinkedIn's platform.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Linas, do you have some?
Yeah. Just for everybody's notice, I have to drop off in like 5 minutes or so. So if anyone has any questions directly for me, please do ask. I would like to answer them. If not, drop me a DM. So I don't use any software. Never did. I tried Shield at some point in time, but it wasn't for any growth, any scheduling or whatever. It was basic for the analytics. Right now, I think LinkedIn has improved the analytics, although they're not ideal. But you can view some stuff that you weren't able to do so before. As Kotryna said, you can already schedule, so you can try it out and check it out. In terms of the growth, I think, and that's my personal opinion. I think it's wrong to, if your goal is to become an influencer. I'm not sure whether that's the right approach. I wouldn't suggest that, but it's fine. There are many strategies to do that. Probably the most popular one is fake it till you make it, which works. But in essence, I think you have to stick to the core. So if let's say you want to be like an expert, or let's say become an expert in the other people's views as whatever in terms of cooking, sales, business development, you have to just stick to that. And if the follower count is dropping, it just means that the people are just filtering themselves out. If this is happening consistently, then some things might be wrong. But at the end of the day, you will see people dropping off. You will see people, getting out of your connections. If you feel that the overall trend is upwards, the conversations are still happening, and people are still engaging, just stick to it. So that's my response.
Okay, thanks very much, Linas. Thanks very much for your response. I mean, yes, it was happening occasionally due to it was one of our incident, right? So overall, the trajectory has been on an increasing side, and I think I'm doing a good job because interacting, engaging with you and other content creators has replying to your thoughts, posts, and making it a post, as Kotryna said earlier. So that has actually helped me get more followers. This is one of the strategy I would recommend, as well as I find it it's working in my favor, right, as a consistent strategy. So yes, my
Thank you so much,
intentions are, yeah.
Deepak. Thank you so much for the question, because we have other people waiting as well.
Absolutely,
So I
thanks.
would like
Okay,
to give them a chance
sure,
to jump on the
thank you.
stage. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right. So we also have another person jumping on the stage for their question. Sriram, the stage is yours.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to take this to a little less, serious note, because I don't have any strategy. I don't have any idea. I come, I post whatever I want, and people seem to follow me. I am amazed, like anybody else. Why would somebody want to follow me or would be interested in what I have to say? But I see that happening. So the question to the panel is, I'm an accidental, maybe an influencer, maybe not. I don't know what I am, but this is my hobby. This is not my main gig. So having said that, my question is, sometimes when I do some post, I expect it to be, awesome, and I get 200 views on that. And sometimes when I think this is stupid, why should I even write about this? I get 20,000 views on that. So my understanding is I don't know anything. What my users want. So what I want to ask, Filippo and Linas is, are you guys judging your usage count or your audience better? Or when you post something, do you know that it's going to go well? Or you are also as clueless as I am? Thank you.
If I could answer before jumping off, because I have another
Go
call.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So actually, I agree with you. At the end of the day, whatever strategies you read online or whatever whatever guru says to you, even if this myself, Kotryna, whatever, you always have to take it with a grain of salt and don't take this as 100% accurate, because it's not what always works. And as you said, sometimes when you post nonsense, it could go viral. What matters for me is the conversation and the discussions that are happening. So there are some posts that might have less views, maybe 10 times less views than some viral posts, but they're like hundreds of comments, maybe thousands of comments. So that's what I value the most, when people are actually speaking, discussing, not only by myself, with myself, but also with others. This means that this resonated. And mostly other things are like, vanity metrics, and you have to decide what matters for you. If you want lots of views, or you want clients. Sometimes one silly post with 200,000 views could lead you a client that would bring you like 10 million in annual recurring revenue. I think that's good enough. So yeah, whatever feels right, stick to that. And yeah, don't take things for granted. That's the end of my rant. I have to jump, guys. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope that you find some stuff that I talked about together with others valuable, and let's stay connected on LinkedIn. Appreciate
Thank you,
the
Linas.
opportunity.
Thank you, Linas, for being here today. Take care.
Bye, guys. Cheers.
All right, so we're one speaker less, but I think we can still continue this for at least 5 more minutes. Sriram, did you get an answer to your question from Linas?
I did, but I would like Filippo to chime in, because I don't really, follow a fixed structure. I, sometimes repost, if it pikes my interest. I sometimes write content if it pikes my interest. So absolutely no strategy, but it seems to be working. So I wanted to get Filippo's input on what works for him. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Like, super kind. I don't really know, honestly. Like, I just stick to kind of what I also feel like posting. I used to have a lot of processes in place, like a clear strategy. My current strategy is simply to post what I want to post about, which is mostly about fitness and health, which is kind of a little bit not that usual for people working revenue operations or sales, because you always want to talk about the industry they work on. For me, it feels good, honestly. I'm not pretending to be an expert. I never pretended to. And it's always about, hey, I want to talk about this. I feel like if I talk about kind of some lifestyle changes that I'm making, and this helps also one person who reads the post, for me that's good enough. Honestly, I don't. I honestly, prefer to talk about this than talking about making mountains of money and all of that. I mean, that's not really interesting for me. I'm not money driven in general. And that makes me, kind of stay consistent on the platform. So I think that's also kind of what Lina said. Like, talk to what you want to talk about, and I think that's the most important stuff. As long as you're respectful towards others, and if you don't have a strategy, that works.
Thank you so much, Filippo. I'm just trying to measure the time that we have for every person, and
thank you. The only thing, Kotryna, sorry to just interrupt. I would like to get Raminta's input also on this, and then I will take myself off this conversation. Thank you.
Raminta, maybe just in a few words.
Yes, I am audible. Okay. I would definitely just say that, sometimes even without a strategy, it works because of some algorithm reasons or something like that. What is important that it works, and just keep that in mind. And basically, for me personally, I also experienced a similar thing. Some posts that we spend a lot of time on perform less well than those who we spent like 5 minutes on. So it's just, I think social media sometimes works in this kind of mysterious way, and we can never predict it, So even though we can say that like some strategies are the best. Some they wouldn't work in some cases. So I think that if it does work randomly, it still works, and that's what's important. And that means that you need to keep up with the work that your audience likes, if you like it as well. So that would be my point of view.
Thank you so much, Raminta. I hope we answered your question, and now
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Now we'll be moving to the next question, and the stage is yours, Ron.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing me up on stage. I have enjoyed your message today and all the other creators. I joined LinkedIn just recently and haven't even completed my profile yet. My question is, I'm using it to attract customers and to let customers know what my company does. And I've heard on some of the other different creators that have had sites that you can create a strategy with your LinkedIn page that can actually attract customers to you instead of using LinkedIn to try and reach out to customers. I wonder if you guys have any experience on how creating that strategy in your page can accomplish that.
So maybe I can answer to this question. Actually, you can definitely make sure that your personal profile sells for you. So in this way, what you need to think about is that all the information that you have in your profile, whether that's your background photo, title, headline, about section, all of the little sections that you have in your profile, they're leading somebody towards a sale, or at least giving them an understanding of what you're doing and what your company is doing, or what kind of services you're selling. So that should be the number one thing that you should do when it comes to crafting a profile that works for you. And then, of course, creating content about the industry that we work within, about the things that are happening in the industry, trends, something exciting, facts, also helps to sell indirectly, right? So instead of you're selling to people, as I said, writing them, sending messages, people see your content, they're constantly reminded about what you're doing, and that way you create inbound leads. So that these would be my 2 cents.
Yes, thank you for that. Because of indecision, there are so many different parts to the LinkedIn page, the banner, the about section. But yeah, so I was curious. You actually just just explained one of them, but I guess because I'm new to LinkedIn, I find it curious as to how you actually create people to come to you, and it's strictly about the content. So I will take your suggestions and try to apply them. I guess this is not an exact science, and you don't get it right the first time, but thank you for your input on that. It's been very helpful.
Of course. Thank you for your question. I hope it works out, and best of luck with your LinkedIn journey. All right. We will take maybe 2 more questions or so. Let me see whom we have next in the line. And here we go. Ekene, if I'm pronouncing your name right, the stage is yours. You need to unmute yourself. If we don't hear a question in a few seconds, we'll give the stage to somebody else. All right. Then we have Tina. Tina, do you have a question for us? No. All right. We have Teresa. I think this will be one of the final questions we have for today. Teresa, do you have a question for us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My question is, are views the same as impressions? Are
Maybe
views the same thing as impressions?
Filippo, so maybe you want to answer this question since you work with analytics and metrics.
Teresa, can you repeat the question? I didn't hear like the full sentence, please.
Yeah, I'm asking, are views the same thing as impressions? So you see impressions, but I heard people talking about views today. So are they the same thing? The number of people who view your post, is that the same as impressions?
Yes, that's a good question. So it depends also on the content types, because if you check, for instance, videos, impressions and views are not the same, right? So, for instance, videos, views for videos are like when you click on the video and then you consume at least 3 seconds of the video. So that also translates in a different engagement rate calculated for videos. But in general, if you're not talking about videos or articles, because also articles views are counted differently, impressions and views are the same for text specifically. For articles, because for instance, articles, if you view an article on LinkedIn, but you don't click on the article, it's not counted as a view, right? That's as an impression because you actually didn't consume the content. And it's the same with video because you need to click and consume it for 3 seconds in order for it to be counted as a view. But for the others are counted the same way. Again, I might be wrong here, but I read an article like a month ago from LinkedIn to know more about this in case someone will have asked me that. So I hope this answered to your question.
I can also just add saying that view is an impression. Yes, indeed. If we're talking about simple posts with pictures or text posts, then it's the same. All right, Teresa, thank you for your question. I hope we answered.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Good to have you. Thank you for the question. All right, so I see we still had a few questions, but it would be great if you could guys send us your questions directly by private messages, because I think we have done 17 minutes more than we were planning for today's live. I just wanted to remind you again that if there are still some people here in this live that are looking for inspiration, you're just starting out your content creation journey, we do have an ebook for all your copywriting needs with a lot of good templates. So you can also download it from the event comments. I put a link in there, or you can go to our website, linkedis.com, and download it from there. The time is coming to an end. I hope that this LinkedIn audio event has provided you with some valuable insights and tips on content creation, whether you're just starting out or are actually already experienced a little bit and want to gain a bigger following. We hope that if you still have some questions, you will contact Filippo or Linas, Raminta, or me for that matter, and we'll be able to answer to those questions. And thank you for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you in the future LinkedIn audio lives, as we're having this type of audio live every single month. I hope you'll have a good rest of the day, and till the next time.